It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the New York Mets PA, Colin Cosell. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks so much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk
Great.
about how you knew that you wanted to work in professional sports?
Sure. When I was about 5 years old, I watched my grandfather, who was a legendary sportscaster, Howard Cosell. I watched him do his radio show one time, and he allowed me to sit on his lap, and I put on the headphones and talked to his producer, and I just fell in love with the microphone. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. And of course, being an avid sports fan growing up as well, it only made sense that talking into a microphone and being able to broadcast sports. I originally wanted to go into sports broadcasting, play by play, color commentary, sideline reporting, and the like. Um, and So it was something I always wanted to do since I was 5 years old, went to school for it, took every opportunity I could get to get behind a microphone. And, um, you know, it, my career has not been a straight line to get to where I am now. It's more shaped like a question mark, but the question mark leads to the answer that I'm a PA announcer now, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be not only a PA announcer but for professional sports teams.
Did you ever know that one day that you would make it to the professional level?
I had to because I'm not very good at many other things. I'm a very good cook, but I don't think I would have the patience for being a professional chef. Perhaps I can parlay this if one day I become famous and I can become a celebrity chef and get my own cooking show. But this was kind of a do or die sort of thing. If I didn't make it into sports, I was going to try to make it in radio or in some sort of voiceover work or something having to do with a microphone. Because it was this has kind of been an end game. So and I really didn't branch out into many other arenas skill set wise. So I had to, it was that or be working a minimum wage job for the rest of my life. And that would mean I'd be literally working for the rest of my life.
Was was baseball the only place that you PA'd, or did you PA for other sports?
That's a very good question. The first time I ever did public address was for my high school, King School in Stamford, Connecticut. And when I was in college, I came back for homecoming weekend, and they asked me if I would do the public address for the homecoming football game. And I was like, of course. And I was 19, 20 years old, and really, um, uh, I was a little immature to be doing it. I was kind of making jokes along the way. The referees were throwing a lot of flags, and I was calling them out on it. And it got to the point where they threatened to penalize the team if I kept mocking them. Um, that was my first taste of PA work. And then fast forward 15 years later, and I was doing trivia night at a bar that I used to manage in Manhattan. And the people that ran the trivia league, one of the owners came in and watched me do it, and he was really impressed with my command of the microphone and the way I was interacting with the crowd and was announcing certain things. And he asked me if I would be the PA announcer for a professional ultimate frisbee team that he was part owner of, the New York Empire of the AUDL, the American Ultimate Disc League, which, by the way, is an unbelievable sport. Like, I'm still blown away by the athleticism of those guys to this day. So my first real professional PA gig was for a professional ultimate disc team, the New York Empire, who, by the way, are the reigning AUDL champions. I left them too soon. I didn't get to see them win a championship. Then a couple of I'm going to be doing some games for the Brooklyn Cyclones, which is the Mets High A affiliate this summer. Their PA announcer recently just had his second child the other day and asked me if I would come in and do some games. So I'll be doing 30 games for them. And I was just hired by Stony Brook University to become their public address announcer for the football team this fall and for their men's and women's basketball teams for the fall/winter season. So it all just kind of has snowballed. And as of today, I'm officially a year-round public address announcer. So I'm really, really excited.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
What was your time like as the PA announcer for the GF Sports?
Well, GF Sports actually owns the New York Riptide, and they also they run some tennis events, some ATP tennis events, most notably the New York Open, the home of the Black Court, and they would play at Nassau Coliseum in February. And I was fortunate enough to do the last one they were able to do pre-pandemic, which was February of 2020, before everything kind of spiraled out of control. And with those two gigs that they gave me, because it was kind of PA announcing and in-game host for the New York Open, and PA announcing for the Riptide is a whole other can of worms. It's unlike anything in any sport ever. It really allowed me to tap into a lot of things that I've done throughout my career, be it play-by-play, color commentary. I did stand-up comedy for a number of years, and with the Riptide, they actually encourage that. So I try to be as funny as possible during Riptide games, and also during the New York Open. We had a lot of fun with that. But it allowed me to kind of take this amalgamation of everything I've done in my career and just focus it on these particular events. For, I guess, to a certain degree, you could say they allowed me to take the training wheels off and just have carte blanche with what I was doing. And I've been having an absolute blast with them, and they believe in me and trust in me, which, dig your own grave, but so far so good.
How has all of that helped you now to become the New York Mets PA announcer?
It's funny with the Mets. I would say that doing what I did with the New York Empire really helped with the New York Mets. My love of being in front of an audience, my affinity for microphones and talking into them, and hearing my own voice resonate through a stadium, or even a small ballroom in a hotel for like a special event or something like that. I love that. I thrive on that. So it really allowed me to go in there and be focused, far more mature than I was when I was doing the King's School homecoming football games, which, by the way, they still have me come back and do now. But now I'm a professional PA announcer, so I take it a little more seriously, and I don't goof off as much and don't run the risk of getting them penalized. Excuse me. But it allowed me to be more zeroed in and to find my voice as a PA announcer by working with the Mets. And fortunately with the Mets, 98% of everything I say into the microphone is scripted in front of me. So that allows me to rehearse it a little bit and make it as polished and fine-tuned as possible when it finally goes out over the public address system to hopefully, again, one day, 45,000 fans.
What is a typical game day like as the PA announcer for the New York Mets?
Well, I live about an hour and 15 minutes away from the ballpark. I used to live about 15 minutes away from the ballpark, and my wife and I moved in July of 2019 out to Eastern Long Island. So that made the commute a little bit longer, but it also means, for a good hour of the trip, I'm just listening to music or sports talk radio or the news, or making phone calls that I, haven't been able to make or what have you, and just kind of like jamming out and loosening up and relaxing and enjoying myself because I'm a huge music fan. So, just jamming out. And then it all, like, as I'm approaching the exit 22A off the LIE to the Grand Central Parkway, that's when I start doing vocal exercises and warming up my voice, warming up my mouth, getting everything, ready and fine-tuned and ready to, announce to a large audience. And then once I get to the ballpark, the first thing I do is stare at it as I'm pulling up, because it still to this day blows my mind that my voice fills up a major league ballpark. There are 31 people in the world that do what I do. In a world of tens of billions of people, there are 31 of us. And there are 30 major league ballparks on this planet. And one of them I get to fill up with my voice. So I always take that in and never take it for granted. Then I go in. First thing I do is go into my booth. I go through my scripts, make sure there's no, wonky or funky pronunciations that I need. If so, I'll double check on them. I will read through them out loud to make sure there's nothing I'm going to stumble over. I will do a quick mic check. I'll just turn my mic on and just give it a quick. And then, if I hear that echo through the stadium while guys are, doing batting practice, then I know my mic's good to go. And then just talk to our director, talk to any media people, make sure there's, if there's anything that to keep an eye out for. Just anything that might pop up in the game. I want to be fully prepared for every possible situation. I don't like getting caught off guard. I can do it. I'm very, very good on the fly, but I prefer to be prepared. And then typically my spotter, Nick, and we will go and grab a bite to eat. And Citi Field has so many great eateries. We try to systematically throughout the season go to each of them and try something new. So have dinner, fraternize with the greatest production team in all of professional sports. Our Mets team is amazing. We'll crack jokes. We'll talk about the last game or the upcoming game or what's going on in the sports world or what we find funny on the internet. And then everyone kind of goes, gets into their positions and gets ready. And I eventually, settle down into my booth and just, wait for them to go. And God willing, everything is smooth and ready. And then somewhere around like a quarter of, I'll jump on the microphone for my first announcement, and then it's go time.
How has it been like with COVID and not many fans are in the stadiums as last year there was fans in the stadiums? How has that impacted your announcing?
That's a great question because my job as a PA announcer isn't just to inform people of who's batting next or what sponsor is doing this or why they should look at City Vision. It's announcing a player's name and having the fans react. When I announce Jacob deGrom, I know they're going to go nuts. When I announce Bryce Harper, I know they're going to boo. And that synergy is something that I feed off of. It's such a thrill for me. And, last year I made my peace with the idea that there wasn't going to be any baseball at all. Come March, when everything was canceled, I thought that was going to be it for all of 2020. So when we were able to get back to the stadium at the end of July, obviously it was a thrill. And, it's a blessing to be working during a pandemic and doing the job I love, given the fact that I had kind of written off the season for the year, thanks to COVID. But having no fans there and having cardboard cutouts was very jarring to me because there's that ambient sound that fills the stadium at all times of people talking, cheering, chanting, doing whatever they're doing. And instead of that, we had piped in sound, coming from an iPad. And if you closed your eyes, it was acceptable. It was like, okay, that sounds normal, but there still wasn't that synergy when I announced Pete Alonso. You've got something that sounds like a video game just going like, and it's definitely not the same. So having fans back this season, even in a limited capacity, right now we're only at 20%, but to have 9,000 fans in the stands makes a world of difference because they're reacting and it's live and it's real, it's authentic, and we're bouncing off each other. And for the people that are sitting in front of me, they'll turn around and watch what I'm doing sometimes and we'll interact. And I miss that. I'm a people person. I love interacting with them. I don't just want to be a voice yelling at them for 3 to 4 hours, per night or per day. I want to be a fan with them and have the experience be kind of symbiotic. So it was really rough not having fans there. And I can't wait for them to keep increasing capacity and getting more and more fans in there. And hopefully more and more people are getting vaccinated so that they can attend the games and we can all enjoy it together.
What are some of your iconic catchphrases that you'll say?
I mean, I don't have any iconic catchphrases. I guess it's come to my attention recently, actually this week. The other night we had a doubleheader and I guess when I announce a player's name or some of my announcements, there's kind of a growl that happens with the way I say a person's name. For instance, Pete Alonso, I'll say, the first baseman, number 20, Pete Alonso. And it's got that kind of growl to it. And it just happened naturally. I have no idea where it came from. And people on Twitter were calling it the Cosell growl. And I was like, you know what? I guess that's an official thing now. So I'm going to trademark that soon. But the one thing that I did try in 2019, and I was really hoping people would like it, and so far I haven't heard heard otherwise, is the way I announced the team onto the field. Because typically, my first season, it was, and now here they are, your 2018 New York Mets, and then people go nuts. Then I was like, you know what? I think it's time for something new. And so I tried it one time and it felt right. And one of our directors, who's a lifelong Mets fan, like he named his son Shea after Shea Stadium, where he and his wife met. And he's like, dude, I love it. And he's like, it's brand new, it's fresh, it's catchy, it's cool, I like it. So now when I introduce them, I'll say, and now here they are, your 2021 New York Mets, and just let it build, and then just like explode with Mets at the top of it. So I guess that's become my catchphrase, or my phrasing, or the way I deliver it. I don't know, but so I guess the growl and the team on the field kind of thing.
That's so amazing. What are some of your favorite memories of being the PA announcer for the New York Mets?
My very first game, I'll never forget that. Saturday, June 2nd, 2018, 7:10 p.m. pitch. Mets versus Chicago Cubs. So it was going to be baptism by fire, because Joe Madden was the manager, at the time, and he loves to micromanage. So for someone who's not familiar, who's familiar with what a double switch is, but has never announced it before, and he was just making all sorts of defensive changes. It was crazy. Then you compound that with the fact that the game went extra innings. It went 13 innings, and the Mets ended up losing 6-3. But that was the first night I was a professional PA announcer, announcing in front of a baseball stadium, a full baseball stadium. So that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. But then it's like, big moments, big events. I've gotten to announce on 9/11 a couple of times, and that's something that, really affected me deeply. So to be a part of that ceremony really means a lot to me, and is very difficult to get through, but is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I was able to announce David Wright's final at bat as a New York Met, and he's the captain and he's an iconic Met. So to be able to bring him up to bat, and whenever people look at that video of his final at bat, you hear my voice in the background. So that to me is really, really cool. I don't feel like I'm worthy of that. But then, there's big events, like we had in 2019, at the end of June, we had a celebration, the 50th anniversary of the 1969 world champion Mets. And we did a whole ceremony, and I was able to announce that. So, anytime there's a big event, or even something like a player's first hit, first major league at bat, and I'll give them some extra oomph when they come up to bat. Stuff like that really means a lot to me, because I know it means a lot to them too. And that's something that's going to be a part of their history, much like that first game was for me.
What is it like covering, of course, the New York Mets and the New York Yankees whenever they come to town?
It's funny. In the Subway series, I have only done one of them. I've only done one series, and it is wild, because being there as an announcer, you're listening to the fans much more than you're kind of cognizant of the game as a whole, not just what's happening on the field, but what's happening in the stands as well. Because you want to read the temperature of the crowd before you like go over the top, and you see that they're really not happy, not having a good time. You might want to pull it back, a bit, and you're going to go 60% instead of like 110. That being said, when it's Yankees and Mets, and the Yankees fans love scooping up those tickets to Citi Field, because, we're much more family friendly at Citi Field. We make it more affordable. So it's very easy for fans to acquire tickets to Citi Field for the Mets, at least easier on the wallet. So you have this balance of Yankees fans and Mets fans, and it's just back and forth. Like, it is just this angry ping pong match going on between crowds, and it's wild, because you're looking, if I'm looking down at a script I'm about to read, in between innings, and I suddenly hear the crowd cheering, instinctively I'm thinking, oh, the Mets did something, did something right. And I look up and it's, like an Aaron Judge home run. And I'm like, well, that's not right. That's not what we do here. So it's bizarre, but it's also electric. It almost has a playoff feel because there's this crosstown rivalry that really should not exist unless they play again in a Subway Series, like in the World Series. But for some reason, there's that rivalry there, and so it's a pretty wild experience.
What is something that you learned now that you didn't know before becoming the New York Mets PA?
Oh man, I've learned a ton. Um, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, I thought I knew baseball. I was wrong. There are so many things going on, so many subtle nuances and intricacies in baseball that unless you're really attuned to it, have played it your whole life or had managed at some point, you're not really going to pay attention to. I was an average fan, I learned before becoming a PA announcer, where it was just like pitch by pitch. Occasionally I'd be like, oh, they should bring the infield in here, or, have a shift or something like that. But I was not paying attention to, um, when a manager is holding to see if they want to have an instant replay and review the last play, or if there's a rain delay and all of a sudden I see someone walk out with a bag of stuff from the bullpen, I know then that the game is about to be canceled. Before the announcement is actually made official, the players already know it. Like there's all these little things here and there. But one thing I did not know was that a player is not officially into the game if he comes into pinch hit or pinch run. He's not officially in the game until I announce them. So when a pinch hitter comes in, say they're going to be switching pitchers next inning, so they pull him and they bring in, we'll say Luis Guillorme comes in. What happens is Guillorme will come out of the dugout. We'll realize it on headset. We're ready to put his information up on the board on the big screen. But what has to happen next is the umpire has to acknowledge him into the game, mark it down into his little notepad to make it an official scoring thing. And then he waves up at us to let us know that he's in the game. And then I announce him, and then he's officially in the game. So that's something that I had no idea about. And that's literally why I was able to work during the pandemic. I became an essential worker because the players wouldn't be officially in the game until I told them so.
That's so amazing. What advice would you give upcoming future PA announcers looking to make it into professional sports?
It is such a niche profession, and there's only so many jobs out there that, start young. Every opportunity you get to get on the microphone, be it your high school football games, even middle school, whatever opportunities you get behind a microphone. And if those opportunities don't present themselves, get yourself a little USB microphone, plug it into your computer, and just try it at home. Put the game on TV, put it on mute, and announce the players yourselves. Get used to your voice, figure out what your voice is, how you want it to sound, play it back to yourself. And then the number one thing is networking. 90% of this industry in general is who you know, not what you know. There are plenty of broadcasters out there that really don't belong on TV, but they were good enough at their jobs and they knew the right people and they were nice people. Always be a good person. That's number one. Do not think you're the coolest thing or you're hot to trot or anything. Like, be humble, be modest, and be kind. But get to know other people. Like, get to know PA announcers. Find your local professional sports team, be it hockey, basketball, football, baseball, whatever it is, curling, I don't care. Find that PA announcer and try to have her strike up a conversation with them, or become friends with them, or ask if you can shadow them. Because one day there's going to come a time, if you have a relationship with them and they trust you and they know your voice, that say they've got a family emergency, or they've got a baby on the way, or they fall ill, God forbid. they might call on you to come in. They're going to be like, oh gosh, who are we going to have come in PA? It'd be like, you know what? I got just the guy. There's this kid that I've been kind of mentoring. Bring him in. I believe me, he's going to be great. And that, that's number one. Networking. Be a good person and network, and fine tune your craft. Learn how to control your voice and be the voice you would want to hear.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
At Cosell, PA. The PA is not for Pennsylvania. It is for public address. That's on Twitter. On Instagram, I am the other Cosell, because Howard was the Cosell, and my cousin Greg is he's more famous than I am. He does a bunch of stuff for NFL films, NFL Network, and ESPN. And then my weekly podcast, The Sport of Entertainment. They can follow that at TSOE Show. And find it on Spotify too. Go give it a listen. The Sport of Entertainment. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you again, Colin Cosell, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as the New York Mets PA announcer.
Thank you, Brandon. It's been an honor and a privilege. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Colin, for your interview, and best of luck.
Thanks so much to you too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.